Hello and welcome back to Clarkenomics. In this video, we're going to continue our discussion of what shifts a demand curve. Once again, remembering what this looks like. Erdl the turtle, right? Increase right, decrease left. So an increase in demand is shown as a shift to the right. A decrease in demand is shown as a shift to the left. So bear that in mind as we go through some of these shifters. Starting with income. Income is a relatively straightforward demand shifter. The question being asked here is how much money do people have to spend? So if you think back to a previous video that we did about budget constraints, when you have more money, you have more money to spend, you're going to buy more of the stuff that you want to buy. So that would be like a budget constraint shifting outwards. Well, it works about the same here with demand, right? When you have more income, more money to spend, maybe you got a raise at work or something like that, you're going to have a greater demand. So take pepperoni pizza slices as an example. When you make more money, if we're treating pepperoni pizza as a normal good, you're going to have more demand for pepperoni pizza. The price of the pizza never changed, but what changed was your income, so you can buy more of that thing. That would be a demand shift to the right. If you have less income, what you're going to see is less demand. I can't buy as much pepperoni pizza before as I used to, and so demand will shift to the left. Now, everything I've just said is true for a type of good called a normal good. And so we're treating pepperoni pizza here as a normal good, and we'll get to the alternative in just a moment. But one more time for now, when demand shifts, what that means is the quantity demanded is going to be different, not just at one price, but at any price. The entire curve gets up and moves to a new spot on our graph. So let's return now to the idea of normal goods, and I'll give you an example of one. A restaurant meal might be a normal good. When you have more income, you're going to go out to eat more because you can afford it. When your income decreases, maybe you lose your job or take a pay cut, then you're not going to go out to eat at restaurants quite as often. So that's how a normal good works. Restaurants would be a great example of that. An inferior good is the opposite of a normal good. An inferior good works actually, well, the opposite way. So if your income increases, your demand for inferior goods decreases. So you have more money now to spend, and as a result, you buy less of this thing. And if your income decreases, your demand for this thing increases. That's how inferior goods work. You're not buying inferior goods because you want to, you're buying inferior goods because you have to. So for instance, fast food might be an inferior substitute to a restaurant meal. Let's think about it like this. When your income increases, you're going to go out to eat at restaurants more, which means that your demand for fast food, which we're going to treat as the inferior good here, is going to decrease. On the flip side, you take a pay cut or you lose your job, you're going to kind of have to choose cheaper alternatives. So you're not going to go out to eat at sit-down restaurants as much. Your demand for fast food is going to increase. Now, the key thing to remember here is different things are inferior to different people. So some people might just love fast food. To them, it's not an inferior good. To other people, it might be. Different things are inferior to different people. But an inferior good, the important thing to remember is the relationship with income works opposite of a normal good. So when you have more money, you buy less inferior goods. When you have less money to spend, you buy more inferior goods because they're inferior. They're not as good. And the second demand shifter here is expectations. So the question being asked for expectations is, what do consumers think will happen to prices in the future? Not what's actually happening to prices, but what do consumers think is going to happen? So for instance, let's stick with our pizza example here. Let's imagine that the price of pizza is expected to rise in the future. So people hear rumors that pizza is going to be more expensive next week than it is today, something like that. The result, even if price never actually changes, but just based on the expectation of the price changing, is that people will want more of this product right now. Because let's think back to our discussion in market economies. What kind of prices do consumers like? Consumers like low prices. They want to pay as little money as they can. And so if things are going to be more expensive in the future, consumers want to buy them more now while they're cheaper. And so demand right now shifts to the right. And again, the price didn't necessarily even actually change. It's all about what people just think is going to happen, even if they're wrong. Because we base our behavior off of our expectations of the future. If the opposite happens, prices for a good are expected to fall. Demand right now is going to decrease Because, let's say it's like every year when new cell phones come out, the previous model becomes cheaper, right? Well, if you expect the price of a phone to fall next month, you're not going to buy it now. You're going to wait till next month when that phone's going to be cheaper. So if you think something's going to be cheaper in the future, you're going to hold off. You're not going to buy it now, but you're going to hold off until the future. So demand would shift to the left right now. So the time frame here actually matters, right? Your expectation of the future is going to affect your behavior right now. And one more time, I can't drive this point home strongly enough. The price doesn't actually change here, right? Because if the price of pepperoni pizza were changing, that wouldn't be a shift. That would just be a movement along a demand curve. It's all about what people think is going to happen, whether or not that change in price actually does happen, because people base, again, their future behavior off of their expectations at this moment in time. So that was two demand shifters. That was income and expectations. Thanks for watching.